there are these types of operations going on in Greenland from Americans who are trying to pave the way for a takeover of Greenland. And what we know is that they're trying to find people that will assist them, that will be helpful to them, so they can use them in that goal.
Denmark has summoned the United States' top diplomat in Copenhagen over alleged covert operations being conducted in Greenland. Danish intelligence has warned that the territory is the target of a campaign to influence it towards secession from Denmark to the US. Donald Trump said earlier this year he would not be against seizing Greenland by force.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future, and if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Well, he seems pretty set on it. Rasmus Jarlov is a Danish MP and chair of the Defence Committee and is at the coalface of this, really. Rasmus, good evening to you.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. Look, have we been able to get any further understanding about what these covert operations were conducted by three US citizens, at least three US citizens with close ties to the Trump administration? What we know is that they're thought to have been canvassing local support on the ground in Greenland for an American takeover. Is that what you understand is the case, and can you elaborate at all?
Not many details are published, but we know from police authorities and also from a publication by the Wall Street Journal earlier this year that there are these types of operations going on in Greenland from Americans who are trying to pave the way for a takeover of Greenland. And what we know is that they're trying to find people that will assist them, that will be helpful to them, so they can use them in that goal.
So what kind of things are these sort of covert US citizens saying or doing? How are they trying to influence the citizens of Greenland?
Well, we saw a very big misinformation campaign in the spring where a lot of American top figures were spreading misinformation about how China is about to take over Greenland, which is totally untrue, how people in Greenland want to be part of the United States, which is also completely untrue, and how Denmark is treating Greenland horribly, which is also a questionable claim. And how they can do mining in Greenland, which is probably also not the case. So a lot of misinformation is going on to try to pave the way for sort of legitimizing the American claim to Greenland. And now we know that there's also people on the ground who's walking around trying to connect with people that they could use, which will probably be some of the people who are separatists who want to be independent from Denmark, and they will probably try to use them as a tool for an American takeover.
I mean, you wonder whether the people of Greenland were easily able to cotton on to these US citizens who suddenly sort of started uttering the law according to Donald Trump, and how good it would be if Greenland was part of the United States. The Danish Foreign Ministry has summoned Mark Stroh, the charge d'affaires at the US Embassy in Copenhagen. So top diplomat, basically. Is there then a danger that he might be expelled?
No, that's not where we are. We don't have an ambassador in Denmark at the moment. The new one has not arrived yet, so that's why they're talking to his deputy here. But he will be called in for a conversation with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, and it will be made clear to him that we don't accept that the Americans are trying to take over Greenland, which should be very, very obvious. It's really difficult to work well with the Americans, work across borders, if we don't agree on where the border is and what is the United States and what is Greenland and what is Denmark. And it's really a basic condition that we have to have if we're going to be working together, supporting each other and being allies. Then international borders and the many, many treaties that we have with the United States about the ownership of Greenland also have to be respected. So we're really hoping that the Americans will will act as an honorable country and honor their treaties and their word. And we also hope they will look at their own self-interest in preserving alliances and friendships with other countries. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to find it very valuable to be allied with a country that feels like it has a right to take territory from so-called allies.
Yeah, it sort of feels like a wild plan. Obviously, Donald Trump, as we heard in that clip earlier, will say it's important for security reasons that the US takes over Greenland. There's a quote that I'm reading here, a source to this report that talks about these covert influence operations by US citizens in Greenland. It says perhaps the lower level of activity in Greenland reflects the fact that professional institutions which are better able to conceal their work have started operating. What does that mean? Does that indicate that these are sort of, I don't know, companies with ties back to the United States, and this is a direct instruction from the US, or that various institutions in Greenland or even in Denmark are being infiltrated? How do you interpret that?
That's difficult to know, and these types of operations are hard to uncover and to prove what is really going on. And we also won't publish everything that we know, because that would sort of give away clues about how we found out. So I don't think the authorities from Denmark is going to tell everything that they know about how they found out. But we know that these operations are going on. We also know that the Americans are manning up on their consulates in Greenland. And we know that the American top administration, Trump himself, have not given up on the idea. So it's very obvious that they still have this goal of taking over Greenland, and they're not trying to hide that. That's pretty out in the open. We know that that's what they want. And therefore, we can expect more of these types of operations, and we can expect a lot more misinformation campaigns. They're going to try to look for cracks between Denmark and Greenland. They're going to try to widen them. In the coming months and years, you will probably be exposed to a lot of stories from Greenland, and you may wonder, why do you hear about all of that? And it's probably because it's going to be pushed by Americans who are just going to try to stir up Greenland and first of all, try to get Denmark out, to discredit Denmark's presence in Greenland. And then as a second step, they will then take over Greenland. It will be very small and very much in need for help from other countries, and that will pave the way for the United States to take control of it. So It's more that kind of a scenario we're expecting, rather than a military attack on Greenland, because even for Trump, we think that would probably be a little too much.
That it would be extreme, yeah. And so we need to be aware in other European countries about stories that are pro-Trump and the American administration taking over Greenland, that might be suspiciously supportive of that. I mean, you warned in a TV interview that Trump's intentions are like, trolling, empty threats. And it is sort of trolling, isn't it? If you're going to put US citizens on the ground there to try and covertly gather support for an American takeover, then you're absolutely right. I was going to ask what lengths the US could go to achieve its aims here. You think clearly it'll be sort of data-driven, misinformation-driven to try and achieve what Donald Trump wants here. And I say try, there's no indication that he's going to be successful. But you think it will be more on that level than any kind of military intervention at all?
Yeah, I would expect so. I would expect that probably you will find support for separatists in Greenland. And you will find stories. Whenever there's a story about something that Denmark has done wrong in Greenland, they will probably try to push that and then make it heard across the world, so that they can sort of delegitimize Denmark's presence in Greenland. And I think they will be able to find people in Greenland who will help them with that. So that's probably going to be the way forward. They're hoping for a new government in Greenland, the one that has been elected recently this winter. Has 0 members of their parliament that want to be part of the United States. So it's a big task for them to turn the mood around in Greenland, because only 6% of the people in Greenland think that it would be a good idea to leave Denmark to become part of the United States. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them, because there's really no desire from the Greenlandic population to become part of the United States. But on the other hand, it's a small population. So a few thousand votes in an election, if they can swing that through misinformation campaign and support the right or wrong people, then it is a very vulnerable society, and they could be tossed around by a major power like the United States. So I think it's going to be tough times ahead, and I think you have to be very, very careful that you are not exposed to a lot of misinformation from the Americans.
Yeah, it is a sound warning to make. It certainly is. Rasmus Jarlov, thank you, Danish MP and chair of the Defence Committee. Thank you for being with us this evening. Appreciate it.